The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience presented by Underdog. This is the Week 3 recap, a look ahead to Monday Night Football picks and props as well, and everything else in between. If you are so kind to have joined us for the live broadcast on Mayo Media Network on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, and then you can participate in the chat that is going on as well. If not, Apple, Spotify, get it for yourself after the fact. You're walking around, going to the gym, whatever it might be. Tons of time. Conner Allen and Ryan Noonan from 4for4.com and Betsperts.com on the line with me. Fellas, it was a not great props week for me, but outside of Houston, everything else kind of turned out in my favor in a weird way. How about you?
I
was giving you the floor, Connor.
I was about to say, I thought, no, you wanted me to go first? This is crazy because you just keep winning, and I'm over here in the absolute dumpster. Just like, you can find me in the streets. I think that I lost my house yesterday. It was really tough. Travion Henderson just, becoming a workhorse with three fumbles from Ramondre, from Antonio Gibson, complete disaster. I'm still a little frustrated, not going to lie.
So if people want to know, I actually followed you on that one. So thanks for nothing. That was a part of my losses. Was Henderson under 5.5 rushing attempts, and I had Ramondre over 40 yards rushing. I was like, well, this is going to work out perfectly. They're going to use Ramondre because that's what they do. Maybe they'll work in Gibson. We'll see, but they just do not give Henderson the ball at all. And it took 3 fumbles combined from Ramondre and Gibson to give, Henderson 6 straight carries?
Yep. Yeah, I think it ended up being 7 straight carries. But so he got his first carry after Ramondre's first fumble, and then didn't get another carry for another quarter and a half, and then got another carry after Ramondre's second fumble in the end of the second quarter. Then he fumbled, and then Antonio Gibson came in and fumbled again. And so then that entire next drive was all Travion. It was like 95% rushing attempts there. And so he saw like 7 straight carries that drive, and it sunk the under immediately. I mean, how could I have not known that there'd be, the other 2 starters would have 3 fumbles?
Yeah, I wanted to give you the floor, let you get that off your chest a little bit, because I did get a text from Connor, excuse me, stating that he thought it was maybe his worst Sunday ever. It's not a good feeling. We've all been there. This is, tricky week to week, but you have to have, I think, the longest view of the room. It is a 22-week grind. So, look, I think I buried myself in like weeks 2 through 4 last year. It was terrible. At the end of the year, we're up on top. We're cruising up, almost 30 units, and it ends up finding water over time. So the process isn't bad. I trust Connor's process. Just getting his teeth kicked in a little bit. And what I told him was that it's just going to make the bounce back even better. So the bounce back starts in week 3 or week 4. And hey, here we are.
Hey, we can still get it back. There's a game on Monday Night Football. If you're watching this after the fact, you can hit the time codes and jump straight to Monday Night Football if you want. So there was a big delineation in my props play from week 3. That was what I chose to do with Sharp Stack and utilize all of the values that they presented to me. And then me being like, no, that's stupid. I'm not going to do that. I had no ball, Noonan. I'm going to make my picks. It was so split. I think I was like 30% on the props that I tried to play, and I was like 74% on the Sharp Stack play. So that was at least helped me float water. And because I think people should be using this product, and I should probably use it only instead of putting whatever I think into anything. But there's 2 deals for you, and one is a new deal that you can save yourself a ton of money and get a free week to try it out. And it's all sports as well. It's spreads, totals, props, and all sports. If you go to 4for4.com right now and you use code MAYO50, you will get 50% off the monthly membership, and you'll get a 7-day trial to figure it out. So we're trying to entice you, Connor, to utilize this, because it sounds like we all probably should have leaned on it a little bit more rather than what our priors were.
Yeah, we went through on Sunday, and I was like, oh, this prop looks good. This looks good. This looks good. I already have a lot of action out, but I'll add a couple more. I think all of those won. Same with college football Saturday. I bet on like 4 guys. I hadn't even heard of 3 of them. And so they all ended up winning except for one. So yeah, That's the best part. You don't really need to know what you're doing. You don't need to know target shares and snap shares and who's matching up against who. You just, trust the algos and trust the math.
Well, here's where I want to start. I want to start in the AFC. And if we had to pick the 7 playoff teams right now, like, who are we going with? Because the Bills are in. I'm going to guess that the Ravens are in. The Colts look like they're kind of cruising right now. Your mileage may differ on that. The Chargers are 3-0. I mean, that's a great start for them. Everyone else in that division is 1-2. Who would be the next teams you would start throwing in outside of the division leaders? Because some of these teams stink, Noonan.
It's true. The thing with the Chargers is the schedule coming up is fairly soft for the Chargers. So if you wanted to poke holes in them, it gets a little thin because they're going to run into a pretty nice set of games coming up. I do think Denver, though they have not been impressive, they should have won that game against the Colts, and they were very much in that game. Obviously, they had them pinned down, right? Like, I don't know, inside the 20 with like 3 or 4 minutes left, and gave up a couple of chunk plays, and then Hufanga got a personal foul and, tacked on 15 yards. And all of a sudden that game flipped a little bit. So I definitely think Denver is still a playoff team. But Kansas City, Connor and I touched on it on our Tuesday show this week, right? Kansas City needed that one because they get Baltimore next week. Very, very likely that they are 1-3. They're, I think, comfortable 3. That could even climb if Baltimore wins by margin on Monday night. That Kansas City could be catching 3.5 or something at home, which is wild. But it softens up pretty significantly down the stretch for Kansas City. And then you think at some point here, Worthy, Rice come back. That defense is still cooking. So I'm definitely not burying Kansas City. So that gives us 3 AFC West teams, which I think is interesting. Like, the Steelers are terrible. The Patriots, the fact that the Patriots turned it over 6 times, gave them short fields. They had like 200 total yards. They needed like a fourth quarter drive to win 6 times. Like, that's insane. That is not a good football team. I think they get their teeth kicked in by Minnesota this week. I do not believe in them. I think obviously what we saw with Cincinnati, who I thought a lot of people thought was kind of a borderline because their offense could cook, that's dead in the water at this point too. So what do we got? We got our 4 division winners: Denver, Kansas City. That's 6. I struggle to find a 7th for sure.
Where do you think that goes, Connor? Like, who could it be? So let me give you some of the runners here. So let's say we have Kansas City and Denver in. You then are dealing with anyone in the AFC East who all stink, it seems. The Steelers, who aren't good. My mighty Browns pulling off a huge upset, moving to 1-2. Then it's like, is Jacksonville the next best team?
Yeah, I mean, it's Bengals, Jags, Pats, Steelers, like Raiders, Texans. Like, I like, does one of those teams, like, what has to be one of those teams, right? That's like what we're looking at. This just sets up perfectly for like whatever. Some team's gonna make a late run, win like 3 or 4 games, and then be like double-digit underdogs in the wild card round and lose by like 30. Like, that's like literally what is setting up to happen here, because I don't think any of these teams are very good or worthy, to be honest.
The Colts currently are 14-1 to win the AFC. Well, what's your mileage on the Colts at the moment? Because they, as Noonan pointed out, they should have lost to Denver, but they didn't. And they've punted once in 3 games. This offense looks very, very good. And they were able to do that against Denver's defense, which I think that we all probably consider at worst a top 10 unit in the league. And they were still able to move the ball there. They just haven't faced really any offense, would be the one thing. Although Miami has looked better on offense outside of the week 1 game against the Colts. Like, are we kind of sleeping on how good they are? Like, should the Chargers be plus 650 and the Colts be 14-1 to win the AFC? Like, is there that big of a gap between those 2 teams? Like, you have Baltimore, you have Buffalo. I think we all agree they're the 2 best teams in the AFC. They're at the ceiling. But once you get past them, like, I think the Chargers look really good, but they're still the fucking Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, I think like at this point, they probably shouldn't be 14-1. But personally, I have a tough time in the AFC betting anyone other than Buffalo, Baltimore, or Kansas City, which I know is like super chalky. I have a really tough time thinking that like any team, whether it's the Chargers, the Colts, whoever, Broncos even, like, can come out and beat probably 2 of those teams in a row in 2 consecutive games, which, I mean, that's I just can't envision a scenario really where that happens unless they just keep absolutely cruising. So yeah, it probably shouldn't be 14-1. It should probably be like 8, 9, 10 maybe. But it's not something that I'm betting. It's just like an ultimate, losing closing line value bet where you're going to feel good about it. You can pat yourself on the back. It closes at 6-1 by the time the 4-1, by the time the playoffs come around, and then you end up losing anyways because they're not good enough.
I buy the Chargers. I buy the defense. I think it's a fantastic unit that we've seen for now a year and 3 games with this coaching staff that seems to be able to maximize more talent than I think that they have. They got a nice break that Khalil Mack is not a season-ending injury. So I think that they have, a base that I trust a little bit more than what we see with Indy. I do not trust the Colts defense. I think they probably get a little bit of comeuppance this week against the Rams in week 4. More injuries for the Colts. Kenny Moore, their slot corner, might be out for next week's game. Just smash these Puka.
Puka. I mean, Puka hits us over anyway every single week on everything. Why would this be any different?
Like 6.5 at like plus 100 is just, I don't know. Maybe it's minus 120 this week. Maybe eventually we get to 7.5. I don't know. We just keep smashing the Puka. It can pay for everything else. But yeah, I mean, look, I think the Colts, they're like minus 130 to win the division. There's no one behind them that we trust. I mean, Texans are not a good football team. They have like awful running game, awful offensive line, no playmakers outside of Nico. He had an awful fumble late in that game.
He blew it. I had that. That was my best bet of the week was Texans plus 1.5. And that's when the game was tied. I was like, we got this. There was like all 3 of my best bets in the game, 3 games that I had the most money on. It was Sunday Night Football. I had the Chiefs minus 6. I had the Jets plus 6.5. Then I had Houston at 1.5. And at different versions of each of those games, I was like, oh, I got this, no problem. And it immediately flipped kind of the other way. Like I thought the Jets were dead, and then they came back. Then I thought they were dead again before the block kick. Then they took the lead. I was like, well, at this point, now I'm golden. And before Mahomes recovered that fumble towards the end of the half on Sunday Night Football, I was like, oh, fuck, man, the Giants are going to win this stupid game. And then that deflated them to no end. Yeah,
that was crazy. That was a great play by Mahomes. I mean, the awareness to even do it and strip Okereke with that was huge. He could have easily just run for a score. So yeah, pretty clutch there. Yeah, I mean, it's tricky. Like I said, I think they're deserved to be the favorites, the Colts in this division, because I don't trust anything behind them, but it just feels like they play that Saturday first playoff game and get rolled by somebody, right? Like, I just don't think that they're a team that we should be considering to be a threat. So yeah, maybe they should be, based off of what we've seen so far, be closer than the Chargers, but I think the Chargers have just actually more teeth, as we get into like December and January with how they play football. Just look, we're joking like Lad's wide receiver 3 there. Probably not wrong, but that just kind of speaks to what's going on with that team. Like QJ is kind of emerging. Connor's not going to let us have that at all because he's very much a QJ hater, but like Keenan's still not fully dusty yet. Herbert forgot he could run this past week as someone who needed him to run for 20 yards. But he can run. That's a thing that he can do, more so this year than years past. And again, the defense, I think, just continues to show that they will kind of make you play one-handed. They will take away the run and force you to make some plays and generate some pressure there too. So yeah, I think the Chargers are real, and look, we have a real chance for them to have a real nice record as we get into November, December, because the schedule is really nice.
Do you worry that Najee's now out for the year, Connor, with an Achilles injury, or do you care?
I don't care. I mean, I think he's definitely out for the season with an Achilles injury. I don't think he's really all that well. I mean, Hampton is like slowly coming into his own. I think he keeps looking better and better and better, and it's not pretty yet, but I think that he can be good, in the future. And one-eyed Najee was playing, doing what was asked of him, but I think it'll be fine for the Chargers.
All right, let me ask you, Connor, who is the okay? Go ahead, Noonan.
I just say I want to make sure that we temper our expectations here for Jeff. I don't want him watching the show getting too excited about the Colts stuff. I saw a fantastic tweet by someone that said, like, Najee barely has missed a game for his entire career, goes to the Chargers, blows his eye out, and blows his Achilles. So, like, the Chargers thing is still kind of happening. So, and I know Feinberg is probably just waiting for the other shoe to drop, but so far, so good.
Who's the worst team in the AFC?
Oh.
Is it the Titans?
They're the worst coach team. Did you see the end of the first half where they're like just really conservative, setting themselves up for a 57-yard field goal, take a timeout, come out of the timeout, and get a delay a game penalty.
Delay a game. And then miss the 62. It's like Callahan and Kellen Moore are like swapping what to do notes, because the Saints did equally stupid settling for field goal things down like 45 points.
I mean, that's insanely. It's wild. And like he just said, like, hey, we're just kind of kicking around. We weren't sure what we wanted to do still. And it's like you have to know on early downs. Is this like a 4-down territory? What are we doing? You have to have that ahead of time. You can't make that decision on the clock, and you take the time out, hopefully, which is also maybe you can make a case that like there's enough time left for the Colts to get the ball back, and they did, and they scored. They got a field goal out of it. Like, you just can't be operating that way in the NFL. You can't. And so it was pretty egregious. I don't know what first coach fired markets are going to look like, but I know, we had a runaway favorite of Miami. I feel like Callahan is making a name for himself here pretty quick with a hands-on owner for, first coach fired there in Tennessee.
So the odds before this week, Connor, McDaniel was minus 500 to be the first coach fired. Then Callahan was plus 350. After that, it was Dayball, Raheem Morris, and Kevin Stefanski. I couldn't imagine Kevin Stefanski getting fired from the Browns, like for being bad. Like they have bad quarterbacks. What do you want him to do? He's won coach of the year twice.
I mean, they just, well, I mean, yeah, heading into the week, obviously, they didn't know that they were going to beat the Packers, but they've been, feisty for large chunks of games. So like, I think the Browns are fine, and he's done the most with what he has. So I think that's more than fine. The McDaniel stuff is interesting because the report came out saying that they're not going to be in a rush to move on from Mike McDaniel. I mean, they can say whatever they want. Like if they keep losing, I mean, the seat's warming up. The seat is warming up. I think he's still a good coach, or maybe a good offensive mind. Maybe he's not a great head coach, but he's a good offensive mind. So if you move on from that, I mean, you're basically starting over. I think there's no way you're rolling Tua, Tyreek, Waddle probably in the next season with a new coach. So at that point, I think it's probably a rebuild, to be honest.
So it has to be the Titans then as the worst team.
I mean, statistically right now, they are 31st in offensive EPA and 30th in defensive EPA. They're the only team that is, bottom 3 in both of those metrics. So yeah, I mean, Miami is desperately trying to crawl in there. So I think it is a slight edge to Tennessee so far. But hey, look, we got the Jets and Dolphins on Monday night here in week 4. That's also, a contender there too. But Titans right now for me.
Titans for you, Connor?
Yeah, Titans. I mean, I'm still holding on to the Jets being really bad. They played 2 reasonable games. I mean, they were getting their teeth kicked in for 3 quarters against the Bucs, as you mentioned at the top. I mean, the Bucs defense is really good, and they kind of had some weird, I don't know if fluky is the right word, but they had some stuff go break their way late in the game to make the score look closer. I mean, they're trounced by the Bills, which is, again, not that surprising. They're a really, really good team. And then in week 1, they played really good against the Steelers defense that, I don't know, was proving to not be all that great outside of causing 6 turnovers against the Patriots, which is, I think, more on the Patriots than the Steelers. So I don't know. I think that the Jets are still pretty bad. We got the Dolphins favored right now, and look at 3-point favorites at home against the Jets. So, I mean, it's more than I thought. I thought it was probably going to be like a pick, I guess, because it's at home. But yeah, I would say Jets or Titans are probably my contenders, to be honest.
Sub to the channel so you can participate in the live chat that's going on. Jonathan says in the chat, what up, guys? Do you do any trade advice for fantasy? We don't, but I do. I will be live again at 10:45 a.m. Tuesday morning with Seeley and Ian Harditz from The Athletic and fantasylife.com, where we go through each of the rankings by position for the week, and we take your questions on that show. So that's the fantasy specific show. If you ever have questions, go dump them in there, and you can dump them in the comment section of that video after the fact if you can't make that live. We're just going to be doing the general recap, make some bets for tonight on this show. Jets, Dolphins. I mean, the Texans are really bad, and they can't block. Is it that they can't block, that's why Stroud is bad? Or is Stroud actually bad?
I've been on this a little bit. This is part of a preseason take. We have a couple years of data now. He was awesome as a rookie, right? I'm not arguing that he wasn't. But if you break it down a little bit, and if you like, again, you could say this is oversimplifying or we're like nitpicking here. He was electric with the deep ball. And when you get into like the short intermediate stuff, he was a very, very average quarterback in terms of completion percentage over expectation, EPA per pass, all that stuff. Very, very average. And when now all of a sudden when things have like crumbled, no run game, no offensive line, kind of cluster injuries at receiver, he just doesn't seem to be a guy that's good enough to really elevate and kind of work through it. He's, we love that he couldn't take a sack and didn't turn the ball over as a rookie. Well, he had a clean pocket and he had open receivers, right? And now that is kind of crumbling around him and he's not good enough to kind of carry them through it. So I don't think that he's a bad quarterback, but like he's kind of just like the guy he played yesterday in Trevor Lawrence, who is literally a jag. He is just a guy, which there's a ton of pedigree there, but like we're kind of waiting for these guys to like take their team to the next level. And I just don't think that they're special quarterbacks. I'm sorry. I know it's still early, I guess, for both of them. There's just like everyone seems to still defend Trevor Lawrence as well, but I just don't think that they are good enough to actually be contenders. When you look at like a Justin Herbert, who is kind of fought through some challenges historically, got himself to the playoffs, and then like had these wins, and like now we're seeing like him kind of ascend. We're not seeing that for Stroud or Lawrence.
Are Stroud and Lawrence, Connor, like on the Geno Smith tier of quarterback, not the Herbert?
Yeah, they're definitely not in Herbert's tier. I think they're closer to Geno, but I think that there's some like, I don't know, if credit / like context of like, I mean, the Texans offensive line is awful. Like, I mean, they're like, and the scheming is terrible. Like, I don't want to cape up for Stroud and say like he's awesome, but it's really hard to do a whole lot with what he has. Like, it's not like it's just like, oh, he's missing throws or, blatantly missing reads all the time, which, he still is sometimes. Like, so is Lawrence. But like when you factor in that their offensive line, they just reshuffled it with like older bad guys too last season. Then they bring in Nick Haley, who there are questions about, has not really impressed me all that much so far. So yeah, I just don't know if he's been given a fair shake. Now, how his career is going to end up is going to be, I think, based on entirely like what they surround him with. Like if they revamp the entire offensive line coming in, they, maybe hire a new OC next year, like he could probably take another step forward back towards his like rookie year. If not, then he's probably just going to be sitting in that, I don't know, mid-tier status for who knows how long.
You kind of hit on it, Noonan, with the Colts. And I just want to swing back for the second. You know what their outcome is here, right? Like how the season goes for them. It's exactly the same as the Viking season last year with Darnold.
Yep.
That'd be, I think they would love that 15-2 or whatever. Yeah. But then you get to the playoffs and they start to play teams late in the season and we get a sense of what they're trying to do and find ways that we can, exploit the defense, which has some holes. And yeah, they show that they aren't necessarily ready to sit at the adult table yet. Like I said, it's inarguable that they're gonna, I would say like we're week 3, but they deserve to be where they are in the market in terms of how we're pricing out the AFC South at the moment. But in terms of actually threatening the top of the AFC, I don't believe it. Again, we all kind of thought Shane Steichen was a guy, and maybe it was just Anthony Richardson, sucked the life out of him, and I couldn't get any of the good Steichen to happen there. And then obviously they couldn't get JT healthy. And all of a sudden this kind of is coming together where we get Daniel Jones, best supporting cast. The offensive line is healthy. JT is healthy. They have kind of really nice symmetry in terms of like how their pass catchers work and how they win. And it's kind of a nice little unit. I think they'll still be competitive offensively. But again, I think we'll look back at a certain point too and go, well, yeah, they played Tennessee and Miami. And then we get that weird Denver game in the middle there that kind of maybe is throwing the scent off of maybe the Colts aren't necessarily that type of team quite yet. But 3-0, you can't argue with it. Daniel Jones is playing good ball. Like I think they've scored on like 77% of their drives, which is the most. And through the first 3 weeks is the most in like 45 years or something like that. So it's hard to argue with what they're doing, but I don't know that it's necessarily long-term threat to the top of the board.
Well, this is the whole point, though, because like trying to look at 14-1 to win the AFC, one that I found that was actually a little bit better, and I think could come to fruition depending on how they split out in some of these tougher games. Connor, is Colts 13-1 to be the 1 seed in the AFC. That maybe we're just wrong. Like, no one wants to believe. Like, the easiest bet on the board to make last week was Indy like -3.5 at Tennessee. When you think about, like, just retrospectively think about all the games and be like, what do we know about one team? What do we know about the other team? And there was just a lot of people trying to talk themselves into Tennessee when clearly the Colts were the better team. Maybe they're just good.
Yeah, and this might be one of those instances where like the market just like isn't catching up fast enough, or like, you know, people aren't adjusting their priors basically quick enough. So now, I mean, we have a pretty big test here at the Rams this week. You know, the Rams have played, I think, some really good ball so far. But again, I mean, they showed up against Denver, who I thought was a really good defense as well. So it's not like, I think maybe it's another buying opportunity here. I don't know if you guys have looked at the spread for this upcoming game here, but I think this could be another interesting one here for the Colts as like another buy low, because I mean, yeah, so they're 3.5 point dogs at the Rams this week.
I love the Rams. I will take. We can.
Oh, okay.
We can save, you know, the book juice. Yeah, I love the Rams in this spot. I think that they, I just think they're a significantly better football team. I think this is a spot we're going to see some of the holes on the Colts. Maybe they score some points, and I could see an over if you're buying into just how efficient they're being so far. But in terms of this defense holding up against, I think the passing game, I love the Rams.
It's a first Mayo show bet. Me and you, well, +4. We'll meet in the middle. It's like 4.5 one spot, 3.5 another. What do you want? Four?
Sure.
All
Four's
right.
good.
Cool. Let's do it.
The Rams are a 4-drive team offensively every game. They look like the most potent offense in football for 4 drives a game, and then I don't know what they're doing the rest of the time.
They just jam Kyron Williams like 30 times into the back, like into between the tackles, and then are able to figure it out after that. But yeah, I totally agree. I think they're a really good team. I do, you know, when they're fully healthy, this is the preseason case. It's like you didn't want to bet on them in preseason because they relied on the, you know, fragility of Matthew Stafford and Devontae Adams, whatever was left. And like, you know, you didn't really know what was going on, but at their peak, they're a really good team.
I feel like the longer we go into the season, it's going to disadvantage the Rams because they have these old dudes. I mean, Stafford was getting cortisone injections in his back in the preseason. Like, eventually that goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I know that was part of your handicap, taking the under on them in the preseason. I get it. I mean, we're banking on a quarterback that was, you know, needing shots, and we're learning, you know, new technology that's out there and of how to like cure your back and all the things that were going on. I don't know what that weird table that he was laying on instead of practicing was. So I understand why there was some trepidation on the Rams in the preseason, but to Connor's point, like all systems firing Stafford is a pretty tough unit. And you know, that duo is significantly better than whatever was left of the Cooper Cup ride last year. Like Devontae is still one of those dudes. Puka's ascending again for as long as Puka's a young guy that could get hurt. Like again, someone who's like betting his over receptions every week. There's multiple times a game where he's just slow to get up and get back to the huddle. You're just like, oh, don't let this be the one. It happens all the time. So part of it for me is the defense. Their front four in particular is arguably the best in the league. They can stop the run. They have pass rushing depth. They have pass rushing depth in the interior of the defensive line. It's a really, really, really strong unit that's young, only getting better. So that's part of my Rams love, is just watching those guys up front play ball. I think they're going to give Daniel Jones kind of my handful there.
2 last things about the AFC. 1, Cleveland's defense might be the best defense in the league.
They're awesome.
Yep. They're really good.
And I think that Detroit pounds them next week because I think that they do not travel well inside. I think that you want to have Cleveland's defense outside to slow the game down a little bit. I think is a big advantage to them.
I'm interested to see what happens tonight against Baltimore. I mean, that's like, I'm still not entirely sold that the Lions offense is like what we saw against the Bears, like 3rd and 5th string corners, you know, and like their run defense. Cause I mean, yeah, again, we don't need to go too far into the NFC, but you know, I think that I'm still not sold necessarily on the Lions, but yeah, I agree to your point, you know, playing in Cleveland, kind of muck it up a little bit, you know, make it like kind of a slower, uglier game, I think has kind of been their MO.
Yeah, the move is if you really want to do the buy high, buy low parlay. We'll get to it more later on, but I like the Ravens on Monday Night Football noon. See, I can just parlay the Ravens with the Lions next week, and it's like plus 270.
Yeah, I like that. It's a good look. Yeah, I'm with you on the Browns. I think they're going to be really annoying to play. I think you make an interesting point about, home road splits or indoor outdoor splits. But yeah, they're feisty. They have a really strong pass rush. They have I think Denzel Ward is legit shutdown corner, underrated. My bags are packed with Carson Schwarzenegger, defensive rookie of the year at 60-1. So I'm happy if he looked awesome yesterday. So if they're competitive, that bodes well for me. If none of these other guys are really emerging, which is kind of the case so far. So yeah, I think they're going to just be annoying to play, and they probably shouldn't be in these spots where they're double-digit dogs anymore. And I know that it's kind of where they're at next week too. So but yeah, I want to get a sense of what we're seeing from Detroit. What was sticky? What's not? Is it more of what we saw with the Packers? Is that more Packers related, or can they post some big numbers like they did against the Bears? We'll get a sense tonight.
No good skill position player has had a good day against them yet. 3 weeks, and they've all been shut down.
Yeah, no, they're feisty. There's a lot of talent. That Schwartz defense is tough to play against because you don't see a lot of it. He likes to blitz. They play a lot of man. They blitz from the second level. They'll blitz their corners at a higher rate than most other teams. So those teams I would think they're always interesting to handicap. I always kind of pause when we're handicapping the Vikings or the Commanders or the Browns because they play defense stylistically. Tampa Bay had put in that bunch too. Stylistically, it's just a little bit different than a lot of the other teams. So they're a little bit harder to handicap.
To the guy asking fantasy questions in the chat, come back tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. Eastern time when we're answering fantasy questions. That's when we're doing that. I do want to take a quick break and get over to the NFC. Before that, though, there is one question. Connor, maybe you can shed some light on this. Who has the worst offensive line in the AFC? Is it Miami, Vegas, or Houston? Because they're all really bad.
Oh, man. I think Vegas has at least a couple of okay players. Miami is tough because I think they're missing a couple of players last week specifically. Probably full health, assuming full health, probably Houston. Then Miami, then Vegas. That'd be my ranking. I don't know. I'm not necessarily an offensive line guru, but that's how I would personally rank it.
I think Vegas might be the answer here, Noonan. They're horrible. And it's not like Seattle, for example. Their pass blocking is not great, but they're very good at run blocking. Vegas isn't good at anything. Genty gets hit behind the line every snap. Cincinnati, we can probably throw into this mix too.
Yeah, no, I think, Cincinnati's in a tough spot.
That's fair. Cincinnati can be in the mix too. The Raiders thing. Oh, sorry.
No, I think we're getting some good old fashioned, Monday night internet cricket wireless, going on between one of us here. So no, it's I think you can make a good case for all of them, Pat. I think you made a good case there. Like Genty, I think the conversation surrounding is he a bust? How's he going to be against actual NFL talent and not playing on games at 11 p.m. and against some poor teams out west. I think that's a valuable conversation, but when you have a bad offensive line too, and you're getting hit right at the offensive line, that's it's tough to see him do much work there. So I don't know. I think all three are just really, really bad. No line play in general is feels to me very much like a team. A couple of teams have it and a couple of teams don't, and those are very clear teams that do not.
I believe I read that Chase Brown has negative 51 yards at before contact right now. He's getting hit three yards behind the line of scrimmage every time he touches the ball.
Hard to recover from that. Yeah. They're pretty bad. The Genty stuff is rough. I mean, people are bodying him, but he's got no room to operate. That's kind of tough.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, then come back and talk about the NFC and then Monday Night Football, so stay tuned. Now that I'm old, I've had to come to the fact that I just don't bounce back the way that I used to. I don't wake up in the morning feeling normal, and now that football season has started, that is absolutely unacceptable because I got work to do in the morning and I got kids that are waking up. It's no good. But that isn't a problem anymore because I found ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol. The ZBiotics Pre-Alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle the rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for the rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol the first drink of your night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel the best tomorrow. Go to zbiotics.com/PatMayo to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use PatMayo at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/PatMayo and use the code PatMayo at checkout for 15% off. For over a century, Johnnie Walker has shared its bold spirit with the game of golf. Now, crafted with Devereux Go, Johnnie Walker introduces the Johnnie Walker Blue Label-inspired Sunday Golf Bag, elevating the game with sleek design, Blue Label hues, and refined gold accents. Celebrate your hole-in-one with a premium Sunday bag crafted by Devereux Golf. Submit proof of your achievement to johnniewalker.com/blue-in-1. Please drink responsibly. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Give online therapy a try at betterhelp.com/PatMayo and get on your way to being your best self. Sometimes we turn to some funny places for support, but not everyone's a therapist. Not everyone is the one. Find your right match with BetterHelp. What you need to do is actually talk to a quality therapist, and BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully licensed in the United States. It's also completely online. You can pause your subscription whenever you need to and switch therapists anytime at no extra cost. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Find the one with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/PatMayo. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/PatMayo. Welcome back to the Pat Mayo Experience, talking NFC Recap from week number 3. Remember to sub to Mayo Media Network and smash the like. If you're watching this after the fact, you can hit the time codes and jump around. If you want your Monday Night Football picks, they're coming up in about 20 minutes, or you can just jump to the actual time where they are with those time codes. You can do the same on Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you're listening to this on demand. Noonan, is Philly by far the best team and they're just not trying?
No, I don't think they're by far the best team. I think they're a good team, but it's weird that they were so bad. They just hate the forward pass if they don't have to do it. And then all of a sudden they needed to do it, and they did it really well. It's just kind of bizarre. We thought that was a great matchup, like Emmanuel Forbes against A.J. Brown. Like Emmanuel Forbes is like 125 pounds soaking wet. It's just, there's no reason that they should not be just allowing A.J. Brown to body him. And like he makes like Devonta Smith look like he had a second serving at the buffet. Like it's just a tiny little dude. Like go at him. You got a beastly guy. And again, I think Hurts is consistently getting better as a pocket passer. Like completion percentage over expectation trending up year over year. It's been awesome so far this year. Like try the forward pass. It doesn't just have to be, let's just run, screen pass, tush push. Yeah, I mean, I think they still have questions and concerns on the defensive side. They need some of these young guys to emerge along the defensive line. They have questions at corner. So they're a good football team. I just don't necessarily I don't think they're the best football team.
Connor, it was striking to me that when they decided to put it up a gear, they were essentially unstoppable Sunday.
Yeah, it was like a tale of two halves. I think they had, it was like 20 yards of offense or something in the first half. They were playing awful and then completely turned it around. They showed that gear because I think that's always a question that I have with Philly, and at least like the last couple of years has been like, all right, if they get punched in the mouth, they get kicked. Like, how do they respond? Can Jalen Hurts lead them and just like throw and can they be an efficient offense in the play behind? And they answered that question I think on Sunday a lot. So like that's a new, not necessarily new, but like answered one of the questions that I think we have that has plagued them at times throughout the playoffs in previous years, where maybe they're not playing from ahead the entire time. So yeah, I think this was a great response. Noonan pointed out a lot of their holes still, but yeah, they're a pretty awesome football team.
If we call them the best team in the NFC, whether they finish with the 1 seed or not, who cares? Like they're going to be favored to win the conference for most of the year unless someone major ends up getting hurt. If you had to go to number 2, you got some 3-0 options here. The Niners and Bucks are both 3-0. The Seahawks have looked great each of the past 2 weeks. The Commanders are 2-1. Vikings are 2-1. To me, even though they lost to Cleveland, Connor, like the Packers are clearly number 2 here.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say Packers. I mean, maybe even the Rams, Lions, probably in the next tier in my mind, and then the Bucks kind of somewhere in there. Obviously, the whole. I mean, they're so beat up across the board. Like fully healthy, I think the Bucks will be pretty awesome. But they're making it work right now. They're doing with what they can. But I mean, I think Wirfs and Chris Godwin might come back next week. So I think the Bucks are probably in that third tier-ish at this point, but could be closer to the second tier. If once everyone's healthy.
Well, it's interesting, Ryan, with the Bucks because they've had Baker became the first player in NFL history to win back-to-back weeks on the final drive to go start 3-0 to a season. Like, that's great and everything. They also played the Jets in Houston as a part of that time. Like, those are not good teams. Atlanta just lost 30-0 to the Panthers. So maybe they've been a bit of a product of schedule. Evans is probably going to go on injured reserve. Like, he's an old man with a hamstring injury. It's good that they get Wirfs back. It's good that they get Godwin back. They're still going to maybe Igbuka is their best receiver at this point because he's looked awesome through these games. But now they're coming up with Eagles, Niners, Seahawks, Lions each of the next 4 weeks. Now, they've had a great track record against the Eagles in the Baker era in Tampa Bay. But if you just told me they were 3-4 7 weeks from now or 4 more weeks from now, I wouldn't be super stunned.
Yeah, that's fair. Like Baker, though, is the answer to what we were talking about earlier with Stroud and Lawrence. Like, there's another guy dealing with a subpar offensive line with cluster injuries and just finding a way to hang 28 points every week and get his playmakers involved. So, yeah, it's a little fraudulent. That's why we continue to try to find ways, like, can a team emerge? Like, can the Falcons emerge in that conference and or in that division and, make them kind of work for it a little bit? I'm not sure if we feel good about that after what we saw yesterday with what they did in Carolina, but it is a little trickier, especially without Mike Evans. I mean, how he complements them and how he can win deep. But, I think Tampa Bay being around, again, no run game. They're not getting anything going up on, but again, that's where the offensive line issues, I think, are showing up too. Does get a little tougher. You called out the fact that they have historically played, I think, some superior Eagles teams pretty tight. So that one's going to be a pretty interesting test. And again, definitely harder than what they've played so far. It's been a pretty soft stretch.
Oh, Connor, I found the Genty stat. Ashton Genty has rushed for 144 yards this season, with 145 of those yards coming after contact.
That's unbelievable. That's an amazing stat.
I'm just not sold on the Bucks. I'm usually like team Bucks. Like the Bucks have won me a lot of money each of the past 2 years. There's just something seems fishy with them where they just don't seem very good. Like when you're watching them, like a lot of it is one Baker big scramble and their defense holding on. And again, these are teams like that are like offensively challenged that they're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I guess that's part of the reason that I like them, though, is because, like, if you're missing Tristan Wirfs, I think they were missing another offensive lineman. They're missing 3 starting offensive linemen last week. So, like, I think at their core, like, when they get everyone back, they should be, like, a very dominant running team with, like, Bucky and Rashad White looks like he's, probably took some PEDs or something in the offseason. He's played way better. The last couple of weeks, best football of his career on the ground. So, like, I think that their core, they can do that. So the Evans loss obviously hurts, but then you can bring Godwin back. Ibuka is just, playing out of his mind right now. So I think that they're can build on, like, what we've seen. So, like, it hasn't been great. They haven't looked like an awesome team, but they're finding a way to get it done with, like, I don't know, half of their star players playing, basically.
Is there anyone, it seems like both you guys like the Rams from the NFC West. If you had to wager right now on which team in the NFC, Noonan, would have the number 1 seed, who do you think the 4 favorites are in that category?
It's going to be the Packers, Eagles. I mean, we wanted it. We all know that we wanted, but we thought it was going to be the Niners, partially because the schedule was so soft. But, like, they can't go a week without losing an important person for a significant amount of time. Like the Nick Bosa injury is going to be, depending on what we find out today or this week, like, that really matters. They were able to piece it together with Mac Jones. He gets hurt right in time for Brock Purdy to come back. Still no Kittle, no Ayuk.
Jennings is hurt.
Jennings, yeah, it's not pretty. It's really, really tough. And again, they're a top heavy team, talent wise. So that one's tricky. I mean, but they continue to play every week. They're going to play a team that they're going to probably be favored by. So that's kind of why the path for the Rams makes some sense. Just their old guys haven't got hurt yet. So that makes it a little bit more believable. Like the Cardinals, I'm not buying that whatsoever.
The Cardinals are absolute fake news.
No, that is not a real football team. Like that's Marvin Harrison Jr. is the Trevor Lawrence of receivers. Just like it's just a dude that we're all expecting to be fantastic. I forget whose point it was. It's just if his name was Mike Jones, we'd be like, who is this guy? Like it would just not be a thing. But he's Marvin Harrison Jr. Dad was pretty good at ball. So yeah, that's not a team that I believe. And look, Seattle maybe has the best unit in that division, right? That defense is legit. And they did it yesterday without Witherspoon.
Do we know that? Because I feel like they've played three pretty innocent. All Seattle fans accuse me of just being very negative on Seattle the entire time. It's tough to do after the past 2 weeks, but they just ran train on the Saints, and we just spoke about how Pittsburgh sucks. Like they have no real wins yet. And when they beat Arizona this week and they moved to 3-1, probably you're just like, all right. I mean, everyone. The Cardinals beat the Panthers and the Saints. Like they played no one real, and they lost to the C squad and Christian McCaffrey of the Niners.
Yeah, barely. I'm not saying that they're like legit. I still have concerns offensively. Defensively, I do not have concerns. I think it's a team that's going to be able to. The defense is going to keep them in games. Like this is actually probably underselling them. They're a better version of the Browns, right? When we think that the Browns are going to be competitive because they're defense can keep them in games. Seattle's defense is better, and their offense is, I think, better too. So, but I don't necessarily think that they're a real team. But I mean, at the same time, like we want to continue to like make Darnold jokes and poke holes. At least he's taking advantage of the soft schedule and getting it done.
Darnold didn't do anything, Connor, on Sunday. He just stood there, and the rest of the team scored around him.
Yeah, as someone who had Kenneth Walker bags, like
oh man,
I mean. Got in at 55, closes at like 80. They ran 8 plays in the first quarter. They ran 20 plays in the first half offensively because they had a blocked punt, a kick return touchdown. They returned another kick for like 40 yards, 50 yards. So they just had short fields. And then when they needed to throw the ball, it was like play action. He was sitting behind the offensive line. Saints had no pass rush. And then you'd find a wide open JSN. Like if the Saints pushed the Seahawks at all, we're probably getting like Darnold 303, like that's like pretty easily here, but he didn't have to do anything. So I'm still a little bit, I don't know, cautious on the whole Sam Darnold thing. I think there's still some concerns there, but like, when do we find more about that out? Like Arizona this week? No. Tampa Bay? Maybe. Jacksonville? No. Maybe Houston? Like, I don't know. Like there's a couple of maybe tests, but I don't really know if that's like really we're going to find that out. Maybe it's just going to be in the playoffs when they play a really good team and then Darnold starts seeing ghosts again.
So the reason that I bring up the Seahawks is it is a part of that schedule. The favorites currently to win the NFC and be the number 1 seed, not to win the conference, just to be the number 1 seed, Noonan, is not the Eagles. It's not the Packers. It's actually still the 49ers.
The schedule, right? It's just got to be schedule based still.
But the Seahawks,
it's the only thing that makes sense.
But the Seahawks are 2-1. They're a game behind the Niners. They have not played the Niners yet. Seahawks are 28-1 to be the 1 seed.
Like the 3 teams, top 3 teams in dropback success rate through 3 weeks: Colts, Niners, Seahawks. So, the Darnold thing it's been pretty good. Force feeding JSN seems to work. The running game has not been fantastic, as Connor kind of laid out there too. So, yeah, I mean, the schedule piece is part of it. They have not really playing anyone, but again, like the defense is going to hold them in games, and that's part of it too, right? It's half the game, third of the game, however, whatever, 3 facets of football, which showed up pretty massively yesterday. But Seattle's really, really, really good defensively. It's without a doubt a top 10 to 5 unit in the league, and it's going to keep them competitive.
I misspoke. The Seahawks lost to the Niners in week 1. I'm an idiot.
Right.
I still think the Niners are going to end up being like win the division. They have a chance to be the 1 seed in the NFC and are going to be like, you remember the Titans a long time ago that were like the 1 seed in the AFC, and they were like the worst 1 seed of all time, basically. That's probably what, like, at this pace with the injuries that we're getting from the Niners, like, they're going to find a way to be competitive or win all these games. I mean, still get to play like the Panthers, they get to play the Titans, they get to play, the Colts, who I like are good, but like they get to play other bad teams, Giants in there. Like, there's a lot of bad teams that they still get to play. Plus, like, all the other games, they're better than the other teams. They're just gonna be closer, like what we've seen. So I think they're gonna win a ton of games. They're just gonna be like probably a bad team, like heading into the playoffs, to be honest.
So if we're thinking it's like Philly and then the Packers is 1-2 of like who, like if you were to power rank who the best teams are. I know you guys throw out a bunch of different names. No one mentioned the Vikings at all. I can't tell if they're good or bad or if they're just wildly average.
It's another team that just that defense is so feisty. Like,
but their defense can get, like, this happens with the Flores defense every single year. It gets feisty. They look great and they absorb all this. Like, they put on this pressure and they make bad quarterbacks do bad things. And then we get to November and they're giving up like 35 points a game.
Because you get into the playoffs, you're playing good quarterbacks, so teams can figure it out. Part of it is just when they play teams outside their division that aren't used to seeing them. That's a little bit tricky for you. I don't know. I mean, like the JJ stuff wasn't great. It was a small sample. I don't believe that they're an actual contender. I wanted to believe coming into the season that they were, but I still think that they're a borderline back end playoff team. But in terms of actually competing with the Eagles and Packers, I don't necessarily think that they're there yet. We need to see bigger strides from JJ.
How many yards does Jordan Love throw for this week, Connor, against the Cowboys?
I mean, unlimited, like whatever. It just matters how much the Cowboys push the Packers. Like, there's real problems there. Like, I think the Packers could shut them down. So, like, I mean, Jordan Love is going to average like 9 yards per attempt, and that might be generous, or that might be like, not enough. Like, he could easily just complete whatever passes he wants. Even with, no Jaden Reed. Kraft played well, but like, he's probably not 100%. So, like, there's a lot of different, I think this Packers team is just going to go nuts.
Yeah,
he was like an MVP candidate against this guy. I mean, against this team, like, he looked incredible. They up 750 passing yards to Russell Wilson and Caleb Williams last 2 weeks and 7 touchdowns.
I don't know if it's going to end up working out, but the Raiders opened as underdogs to the Bears, I believe, in week 4.
I mean,
I get that the Raiders aren't good, but I think this is just a lot of, why, man, Caleb looks so good. Anyone who plays Dallas is just simply going to look good. And I think you have to more focus on the other games of how a team looked rather than what they did against Dallas.
Right.
Yeah, we touched on the Raiders thing too. Like, that was a hellacious scheduling situation for them. They played Monday night, and then they had to travel, west to east against a Commanders team that played Thursday the week before. So, like, it wasn't even the 10-day advantage from a rest standpoint. They had an extra day on top of it. It's just a really, really, really tough scheduling spot for the Raiders. So I don't want to make too much of that. I don't necessarily think the Raiders are a really good football team, but I do think, there was a piece of that built into it a little bit. So as it, moving forward with it, I don't know really what to make of it. I don't know. The Bears, I want to buy. We want to buy into the Ben Johnson stuff, but it might be a little bit inflated.
I think it's super. I mean, they're your team, Connor. That I think they're not good.
Yeah, no, it's I think their defense really sucks. Like, I think their defense is like really, really bad in its current iteration. And they just got lucky with turnovers, basically, in my opinion. Like, they got those 2 picks and the Tyreek Stevenson ripping the ball out of Javonte Williams' arms. Like, that was a great play. That was just wild, though. That's not like a sustainable, like, this is a good defense thing. I mean, otherwise, like, Javonte Williams is mowing him down. Like, I think if Ashton Genty can't run against his Bears team, like, I mean, they need to seek help. Like, this is like the ultimate test of like, they better be able to run now. But I also don't think that this Raiders team is very good at all either defensively. I mean, like, Marcus Mariota just like, I mean, they were just mowing down the field themselves. They were doing whatever they wanted as well. And like, this Raiders team, I don't think is very good defensively. They don't have much talent. I think they're just basically relying on like coaching and scheming, to be honest, and like keeping that going. And so I have concerns about them. I think the Bears win. Again, I know, shocker. I think the Bears win, but I don't think this Raiders team is very good. I think there will be some very clear sell high points of this Bears team. Maybe it's this week. Maybe Geno just lights them up for 300 and a couple touchdowns, which I think is very possible.
We haven't brought up Atlanta yet, who got absolutely demolished by the Carolina Panthers. I know this is like the stupid gambling thing to think about, but I really like Atlanta this week, getting now 3 points at home, Noonan.
Yeah, that was such a weird game. I want to go back and rewatch that one today. I don't even know. Like, I felt like the Panthers were maybe the worst team we had seen through the first couple of weeks. Like, just seemed like Bryce didn't have it. The defense was bad. There's no pass rush. Whatever they had for a pass rush was injured coming into this game. So it was just like, man, how do they stop Bijan? Just going to get like big chunk runs. Like Mooney's back and he's looking decent. Like, just such a weird spot for the Falcons, who are maybe reading the press clippings, feeling themselves a little bit coming off of the win against Minnesota. That's, one of the weirdest games that we've had so far this season for them to get absolutely skunked. Like, to be 5-point favorites and get steamrolled by 30, not even score. Really, really, really weird outcome. Penix was awful.
Penix looked like me on the second day of our Boys Ryder Cup, Connor, where I drank so much the night before that when I looked down at the golf ball, there were 3 golf balls and I didn't know which one to hit. It turned out to be a very bad day. Like, he was looking at his receiver. It must have been like 4 of them standing there and he didn't know which one was the real one. These passes were going nowhere near any of these receivers.
Yeah, the pick was really bad. He's like throwing off his back foot, like into the flat. I think he's one of those quarterbacks too that just like, because his arm can just like, he has crazy arm strength. Like, he just relies on it. Like, I mean, Caleb does the same thing too. It's like crazy, weird off-platform throws, but it gets him into trouble when you're throwing across like, the field in the flat and like, off your back foot. So you're just kind of like ended up lobbing it a little too much. And like the guy was not open at all. But I think I think, Pat, you're right. It's like, this is not necessarily, obviously this game ended up as a disaster for the Falcons, but you go down, decent drive, you miss a field goal. Panthers come back, score a touchdown. Then you punt, you miss another field goal. And so then you're down like 7-0. And then it's like, okay, Panthers get a field goal. They're up 10-0. So they're 10-0 at half. And then you get another stop, you're driving, then you throw a pick. And then it's, 17-0. It's a pick six. So like at that point, it's like, okay, you were literally probably should have been winning, in the first quarter or like tied, maybe down by 1. And you go from that to like down 10-0 and then a quick pick in the second half. And it's just like the game gets out of hand quickly. So are they a bad team? No. Their run defense didn't play as well as I thought they would. They weren't getting pressure on Bryce as much as I thought that they would. And their offense, Penix just looked terrible.
Yeah, is Penix bad?
He looked bad. I don't know if he's bad, but he looked awful.
It's not been great so far. I think he has like the worst completion percentage over expectation in the league. Solid ADOT. They take some chances down the field, but they also mix in a handful of, running back in the flat stuff. So like stuff that you would expect to be completed at a high rate. So I don't know that he's bad. I don't know that they're rushing to move Kirk just in case. They've kind of gone all in, right, with the way that they handled trading back into the first for James Pierce Jr. Like, they kind of need to ensure that they are a viable, feisty playoff contender this year. Otherwise, they not mortgage their future, but made things trickier for 2026 with how they've kind of approached 2025.
I feel like when you're just trying to bet Atlanta, just go to if they're underdogs, good, bet them. If they're ever favored, just stay away.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad approach for sure. It was weird. I mean, I thought they were going to roll them.
There's also a good, I think, sell high point on the Panthers here. Well, maybe not. The Patriots still suck too. I mean, if they're going to shoot themselves in the foot, but very clearly a better team in my mind than the Panthers. Like, I still don't think that Bryce Young looked all that good. Like, the only redeeming quality about this team, this offense right now, is Ted McMillan. It seems like him and Renfro aren't on the same page all the time. Like, the running game was good at times, but it wasn't like the crutch that they leaned on last year, it felt like. So I don't know. Bryce still just is not doing it for me early in the season.
I got some fantasy pickups for you just to run by. So just some quick ones. Obviously, we'll dig in more on this in the week 4 rankings with Ian and Jake on tomorrow's live show. I have some 4 under 25% owned defenses you can roll out in deep leagues this week. And I got them power ranked. This is all in my article on 4for4.com, which is out right now. It's also in the Mayo Media newsletter, which you can hit the description and sub to for free if you'd like to. It's funny you mentioned Bryce Young. I got New England at home against Carolina as probably the best stream streamer that you can pick up that's wildly unowned. Jets at Miami on Monday night. Tennessee at Houston. No one's going to want to touch that, but Houston's offense is terrible. And then Arizona at home against Seattle in that game. Just very close. And Noonan, anytime I can just kind of like, if I need to take a random streamer going against Darnold, who might just throw you the ball, is very helpful.
Yeah, I get it. The pass rush has been a little bit better. Still concerns with the fact that they are so thin in the back half right now. Yeah, I like the New England one. Like, I mean, the Patriots should have won. I mean, an embarrassing loss. I already touched on that. They dominated. I think they had like more than double the yardage. They turned the ball over multiple times at the goal line. You can't let that happen. They still get a ton of pressure. If they can get healthier, they get Christian Gonzalez back. I think they could be, a real problem for Bryce and the Panthers. But some of the other ones you mentioned, if you're in a deeper league, people are rostering multiple defenses. The Tennessee look is probably a little bit off the board, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, Connor, what do you make of Tennessee's D against Houston? I just think anyone against Houston is probably a play.
Yeah, and it's not like I would be pretty surprised if Houston just comes out and like drops 30. They're going to get some sacks. Like Titans are going to get some sacks, which obviously are points for your fantasy league. So, and I mean, Stroud's always ripe to do something a little bit crazy. So I think that you're in a good spot here. So yeah, it's kind of like an ugly play. You're looking at it probably like that's pretty gross, but I think you'll probably come away with a couple points at least.
Worth noting, too, in the props market, these were two that I won because I had them parlayed together. And then I parlayed them with your favorite play of Henderson under carries. And that one lost. But the other two won. Quick same-game parlay were Warren and Gainwell under yardage against the Patriots. Noonan, you probably would have noticed this. Just the Patriots' run defense is really good.
It's really good. Their interior defensive linemen are playing well. Robert Spillane played awesome yesterday. The Patriots' defense is good. They just got dealt, short fields. I mean, Rodgers did nothing. He was not impressive. The Pats are better than that. It was a really, 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 really rough loss yesterday. Like you're not a playoff team if you turn the ball over 6 times. So hopefully less Ramondre moving forward. Put him in the shadow realm. Let's get some, Travion. Let's dust him off a little bit. Like Drake May got concussed in that game. Like 2 plays before the pick that he threw.
It never came out. They didn't even bring him to the blue tent.
He's literally holding his head. It's smack back in the ground. He's holding his head and then threw kind of a really awful pick at the goal line where he could have thrown it very softly over Hayward's hand and threw like a bullet right out his hand, tipped and picked in the end zone. So yeah, he should not have even been in that game at the time.
Some running backs to look at. James Conner's out for the season with this ankle injury. Trey Benson's still available in like 50% of leagues. I would guess in most competitive leagues that he is already owned. But Connor, if you're sitting there and you have like $100 a fab budget, would you just spend it all on Trey Benson?
Yeah, probably.
I think I would too.
Yeah, if he's there, what are you waiting? What else are you waiting for, right? Like just blow the load, max it out.
Yeah, this is the spot, isn't it, Noonan? The guy's done for the year. This is the clear now workhorse back. They were mixing in DeMercado, but who cares about him?
Yeah, I'm not really worried. But part of it, too, is that Benson, even early in the year with Connor, was getting a lot of passing game works. So the fact that, if you think that DeMercado can take on a little bit of that passing role, I still think you're going to get some passing work and base downs for Benson. So I agree with you guys. It would be a all-in scenario. You have a chance for, 15 to 22 touches some weeks. You just don't find that on the waiver wire very often in week 4.
Woody Marks for like deeper leagues has completely taken out my main man Dare. He's gone. And now Woody Marks is even getting more carries in that Houston offense. It's not a great offense to be a part of, but if they are trailing, they're going to have to do some dump offs. He's a very good receiving back. And Tajay Spears is returning from injured reserve apparently after week 4. So if he's just out there right now, you can go get him. Of the receivers, it's like Torrey Horton, Romeo Dobbs. I actually weirdly think, even after watching Sunday Night Football, after Worthy and Rice both come back, I think the guy that you're still going to see in this offense is Tyquan Thornton. He does something different than all of the rest of the exact same guys that the Chiefs have in the receiving core.
Yeah, I think he'll mix in. He'll probably rotate in. I mean, like Hollywood will probably play a good bit still, and then
he's dust, by the way.
He sucks. He's so bad. I mean, he's terrible. Like, I think he'll probably still play. I mean, like, it'll probably them 4, maybe 5 guys and just like rotate in. So, but I could see Tyquan playing more. He played awesome. He's getting better. Like he was like a good talent. He was just in a bad place. It's all about New England.
Yeah. Chiefs are leaning on 2 dudes that the Patriots, when we talked about how awful the Patriots pass catching core was for a couple of years, these 2 jabronis, Juju Smith-Schuster and Tyquan Thornton, we released them. That's how bad they were. They couldn't even cut it in New England, arguably the worst situation in pass catching core for a couple of years. These guys got cut. And now they're like having to carry the water in Kansas City.
Noonan, Tyquan Thornton, right now, where does he rank in the Patriots receiving core? You bring him back to New England, like
1.
ship him back. Where is he at?
Stop it. No, come on.
Who is more dust?
One?
Who's more dust? Is it Hollywood Brown or Stephen Diggs?
Hollywood Brown.
No, it's Stephen Diggs.
I
Stephen
think
Diggs
Diggs, maybe,
sucks. But he is bad. Actively bad.
He is. He's not good. I didn't expect him to be good, to be honest. We got to get some of the kids. We got to get Kyle Williams out here in the field. Booty's been okay. They're okay. It's not a good unit. It's still probably one of the worst 5 pass catching groups in the league. I just don't think it's by far the worst anymore, like it was last year. Last year it was like comfortably the worst. At least there's a little bit of a pulse. Who's the worst right now?
I'm trying to think. I mean, out of the Titans.
I mean, at least the Titans have Ridley and A.O. Manor, who's like not bad.
Yeah. I got nothing for you, Noonan. I don't know.
I mean, the Jets outside of Garrett Wilson is,
but Garrett holds the high tide there. I think that's
yeah. Carolina outside of Tet is pretty rough.
These guys have one. If you stuck Renfro on the Patriots, he might be their best receiver.
You guys are ridiculous. This is blasphemous. Renfro's going to get cut when the Cokeheads unite again in a couple weeks.
When Coker comes back, I mean, Coker would be the best receiver on the Patriots too.
That I'm willing to that I can
see. That's a real tough position to be in when Carolina's like crappy receiver be your best receiver.
No, it's true. But here's the thing: Drake May, talent elevator. We're gonna see it sooner than later. Wasn't yesterday, but
you got an audible gasp, Noonan, from behind the camera. Jared, tell us how you're enjoying the Drake May experience so far in 2025.
It's poor. Nobody likes it. Not good. He was trying to be Josh Allen yesterday. That's what he was trying to do, and break a tackle and throw it sideways. Didn't work. He's not Josh Allen. It's not that good.
It's a problem. He's not any good.
No.
It's very good when they're down by double digits in games, Noonan. Like I'm telling you, man, Drake Bortles is a real thing.
Drake Bortles. Oh man, so good. They should just trade back for Tyquan and Juju, and they'll be in a good spot. They'll be fine.
Monday Night Football is a game I am very interested in watching. I want to bet it. I got to figure out how to bet it. So I got the 2 guys ready to do this. Baltimore are 4.5-point favorites at home against the Lions. If you go to coolbet.com right now, you can get yourself a bonus. You can get that down in the description. You got to be in Canada, outside of Ontario, to do it with the fastest payouts in the biz. Plus, there'll be a few PME exclusives up there this week with the Ryder Cup going on as well. But I just really like the Ravens -4.5, Noonan. I don't know what to do player prop wise. I just like that -4.5, and it's currently -104 at CoolBet right now as well.
Same, like the Ravens, chalk donkeys on a Monday morning, taking laying the points on the big bad, favorites. I'm comfortable with it. We're driving the Ravens bandwagon. I still have concerns on, how legit this Lions team can be. Concerns that their cornerback room is not good and injured a little bit. And I think we see Lamar run a little bit successfully, and I think that he has some chunk explosive plays in the passing game too. So yeah, 4.5, comfortable laying that for sure.
Connor, you got a side? Got a total? Got anything?
I didn't want to pile on here, but I do like the Ravens. I think for the side or total, like I just think maybe just take Ravens alts. Like I don't know, like -9, -13. Like I don't know, like play it up. Like get crazy with it. Like I think I would consider some Jared Goff unders if I didn't think that like the Ravens could just like be up by 20, and then we're going to see exactly what happened against Josh Allen and the other weeks where they're just like chucking it 30 times in the last quarter and a half, and so you're going to get backdoored on the yards under for sure because Jared Goff's prop is 260 or something like that, which is like his normal prop hangs out at like 240-ish, 235, something like that, somewhere in that range. And they're giving him extra 20 plus yards because they've let up a lot of yards, but I still think they're a really, really good defense.
The one player I would be looking at for overs from the Lions side would actually be Laporta. And I don't know if that's a product of the first 2 weeks that both those teams have dual tight end offenses that they just run a lot through their offense, being the Bills and the Browns. But there were so many targets funneled to that area of the field that I just would imagine that's going to be the same thing with Laporta here.
I don't mind Laporta. I think I would go to, I think a fun one would be Isaac Tesla. Like he's just does something good every game. Like I think integrating him more, like his routes run keeps like going up and up. Like it's thin. Like it's going to be, I don't know, it's perfect, like uncorrelated look probably. I don't know. What is his receptions? Like 1.5, 2.5. If you get a 2.5, now it's 1.5. Okay. So under 1.5 and like over, I mean, his prop's 15 yards. So I don't know, 25 yards, something like that. I think that's kind of a fun little look there because he's not going to see a ton of work. But on the other hand, if he does see a ton of work, then you could almost also play like 3 receptions. If the Lions fall behind, you're probably getting some good juice on 3 catches too.
I'm trying to find him right now. So 50 yards probably isn't cutting it. Can I move backwards here? How far back can I go? 30 yards. Let's say 30 yards. We'll go 20 yards for Tesla. That's plus 130. And then we can go to, where the hell are receptions at? I got to make this easier for me to figure out. My eyesight's going in my old age. I can't figure it out. There, it's actually a part of the same tab because I'm an absolute moron. I got to find the over-under, though. There we go. Under, receptions, Tesla. Under 1.5 catches, over 20 yards, 12-1.
I mean, has he done that multiple times already? Isn't that like all he's done basically? Is just one catch that's like a bomb or like a sick downfield catch basically?
Well, I mean, this is a much better way to play it than like whatever longest reception is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, well, you're getting paid out for it more. The only time you get burned is like if again, like I said, like he ends up like his usage just spikes like dramatically. But yeah, 29-yard catch against the Bears on 1 target, and then a 13-yard catch against the Packers on 1 target. But it was that sick touchdown grab that was like crazy. So I don't know. I mean, I think he's ripe for it. He's perfect. Would love a 2. We're gonna get to the point where we're gonna get a 2.5 and a 3.5 down the road when he starts being used more. And like he's gonna be he's like the next Jameson Williams in a sense here of like uncorrelated God.
Laporta's the only one. I don't know what the hell is going to go on from the Ravens side. Maybe Zay Flowers absolutely eats. Maybe that's the idea.
Yeah, I played Zay Flowers over 67.5 receiving yards on Friday. Look, we've seen Zay when they're in competitive game scripts just kind of pop off. You know, when they don't get up and win by margin and you just, run a lot. They kind of actually just, I think they're a bad front running team too. It's like they used to be a bad come from behind team, but now I feel like they take their foot off the gas a little bit and then they stay in kind of competitive back and forth games. We see Zay kind of cook a little bit. So there's also some pretty significant cover 1 splits. Detroit's running cover 1, the second highest rate in the league. And like just historically, Lamar and Zay have really feasted against cover 1. Zay was, I think, top 5 in yards per route run last year against it. Lamar second in yards per drop back against it. So just a lot of nice little pieces here where this game, at least early, Detroit can hang and keep it competitive in the first half. I think Zay can have kind of a ceiling outcome.
Do you like the 72.5 receiving yards or 5.5 receptions better?
He's actually working further down the field than people would probably think. His ADOT, the number of like 20 plus yard attempts he's getting is pretty high. So I would go yards. I typically do like receptions over yards, especially when we get into some of the higher end guys. But I think for Zay, particularly with the fact that I think that, like Connor said, alts here, like, Baltimore -9.5 and -13 is in play. I just like Zay being able to pop off for some pretty big splash plays here versus having to hold my breath that this game stays competitive and he gets, 7-8 targets and 6 receptions.
Do you think that the Bateman lack of usage so far this season from the Ravens side has been a product of the game script, who they've played, the types of defenses that they've played, or is he just kind of out?
I'm surprised. I thought he was going to be really good. He could be an uncorrelated play tonight, Connor.
Yeah, I think he's a good one. Like, I don't really see him seeing like a ton of volume, honestly, just because they don't pass a lot in general. But I think DeAndre Hopkins is going to play more and more. Like, he's played pretty well. And so when you have, Zay, I mean, they're going to bring Likely back into the fold pretty soon. It's not this week, but like when you have all these guys in here, like he's only going to see 3, maybe 4 targets a game most weeks, maybe less, 1 or 2 some weeks. So yeah, I think it's just like, is he really good enough to be featured like Zay? I personally don't think so.
So we can try to figure out an underdog player. We can go Bateman lower than 35.5 yards, Zay higher than 72.5, Laporta higher than 45.5, and then Tesla longest reception on underdog 11.5. We'll take the higher on that.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I like that. 11.5. It's perfect. That's one grab.
If you had to drop one of those or try to add one to it and replace one, what do you think you would do?
I mean, you can always sell me on, even again, being really pro Baltimore in the spot, that Jahmyr Gibbs does something special, right?
I was going to say Henry, just over rushing yards after having one bad week.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's also part of the handicap for Zay Flowers, was that teams historically in this iteration, like Dan Campbell, have really skewed pretty pass heavy against Detroit. I think they have like one of the highest pass rate over expectations against. We're talking about Derrick Henry here, but Nnamdi Adembuke, interior defensive lineman who really matters for Baltimore, is going to be out. So, the Gibbs stuff is tough. Like, look, if they blow him out, you could have another Gibbs reception situation like we saw in week 1 against Green Bay, where he had 10 targets and caught 10 balls. That could be in play. I think he's like 3.5 receptions. So that kind of fits the pro Baltimore game script that we're kind of laying out too.
David Montgomery receiving yards as well. Like, they just, for whatever reason, although they have one of the best pass catching running backs in football, they're like, hey, David Montgomery, have a bunch of targets for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, 12.5 receiving yards for Montgomery. I almost think the Gibbs attempts under is interesting. 12.5. He has 9 and 12 in 2 games this year. Obviously, the 12 game against Chicago in like a dominant game script. And if we think the Ravens win, like, Montgomery's still going to see work. Like, if they're throwing, a little bit there, like 13 plus attempts for Gibbs would be kind of a lot against the Ravens' run defense is really good too. So their whole defense is good. But like, I would say right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they threw a little bit more on early downs, but there's a little bit of juice on that under 12.5 carries right now.
Yeah. I do think, again, the Matabuke injury matters. Kyle Van Noy's out for Baltimore. Those are important injuries for them.
Those sound like good Laporta type things too.
Yeah, could be. I'm good with the Laporta thing. I've liked what we've seen from him bouncing back a little bit. Also, like, Connor's reading off those Jahmyr Gibbs touches. Like, that's egregious. Like, I know like game scripts got out of whack, but like, have they watched Jahmyr Gibbs? Like, it's just a guy that I go out of my way to make sure he's touching the ball 18 times at least a game. I don't care what happens with the game script. Like, he does really special things all the time. Like, I don't know. I would just make sure that he's not touching the ball 10 times a game and seeing how it plays out.
There we go. I'm going to throw that in. I put in the underdog entry into the live chat right now. So if you want to tail along based off Sunday's results, not great, but hey, maybe we'll get it all back on a Monday night. Any first touchdown, anything like that, or just stay out of that market?
Well, do you have any of the odds here? Let me pull it up real quick.
I got the odds in front of me.
Yeah.
Who do you want to know about?
Read me some. What about like, I think actually, like a Bateman first touchdown would be interesting. He's always out there. I don't know. Like, what's the price on that? Like, what's like the mid-range guys? I feel like we could probably get like a decent price on maybe like a Bateman or something like that. Andrews.
Okay. So here's why it's a terrible market right now. Andrews is 10-1 and Bateman's 14-1.
No, I'm out. No.
Like, I would look at, Laporta at 16, or hell, with these linebacker injuries, maybe the move is just Brock Wright at 80-1. That's what I'll bet on. Brock Wright, first touchdown. Let's be a bit more crafty here. Brock Wright, anytime touchdown, 12-1. That seems more sensible. Let's play that.
I like that. Jamison Williams, 22-1 first touchdown. I don't think it's terrible. That's probably the only one I would consider outside of what you mentioned. Brock Wright, I like that. That's fun.
Yeah, you can bet Brock Wright. He's last touchdown is 80-1. Maybe last touchdown 80-1. Anytime touchdown 12-1. Noonan, what do you make of that? Is it just a waste of money? Probably.
Yeah, probably, but that's okay. People love these markets. They're just, I'm no fun police. I'll waste my money on other stupid stuff. But first touchdown, my favorite, Pat, is first touchdown touts. Oh my gosh, give me a break. Like, you have some sort of edge in first touchdown bets. You're crossing off the first 4 guys on top, and then you're just picking a bunch of dudes, and then you hit a couple a year, which is cool. I'm not like poo-pooing, but like pretending that like I need to pay for your first touchdown services, like is just it's a bridge too far. It's kind of wild to me. But hey, make your money however you need to. Don't mean to hate, but like you don't have an edge. People should just go ahead and cross off the first 4 names yourself, and then just you notice the trend. There's like 8 guys listed, and none of them are the first 4 or 5 guys on the list.
The Sharp Stack best EV play of the night is actually Lamar Jackson under 1.5 touchdown passes because it's juiced up to plus 165 at DraftKings right now. And like you can really easily make that case just because you're like, oh, Derrick Henry rushed for 3 touchdowns, and there's your game.
He runs for them too because Detroit plays a lot of man still. Man for rushing quarterbacks is a nice place to go. So yeah, that's interesting. Plus 165 DK.
Yeah, plus 165 on DK right now. It is plus 160 at Bet Rivers. Those are the 2 bigger ones.
Okay,
interesting. There are some good rogue Bateman numbers popping too over at some places here on Sharp Stack. It's like 38, as high as 38.5, as low as like whatever, like 35 at some other spots. So it's kind of an interesting look, I think, if we're fading Bateman a little bit here.
There's also Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown score. You can bet over at plus 245 at Fliff, where the fuck that is. And then Novig under has it at minus 207. So you can arb that for yourself. It's not a huge arb, but you can get that Sharp Stack app. It has all this information, click of a button, all real time. 50% off the monthly plan with code Mayo50 right now at 4for4.com. Plus, you'll get a free 7-day trial. If you hate it after 7 days, just cancel. You don't even need the 50% off anymore because you're not having it anymore. But I would highly suggest that you jump into that 4for4.com and Mayo 50 to get the 50% off the monthly plan and the free 7-day trial. Go check that out now. And you get access to the Discord, which you can find Connor and Ryan's bets in as well, along with the full DFS package. It's all there for you, all right? I'm Pat Mayo. Smash the like on the way out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.